Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Harakal Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great most on the roll well, and Shalom to all the brothers doing the work of sincerity and truth. Got this article on the news. The news says what Pentagon forms a group to examine unexplained aerial sightings. So yeah, that's obviously talking about, well, going into the Chariots, man, because that's what Esau's basically been engaging with for a hella long period of time, and for the longest, they were just saying, it was treated like people that talked about it were kooks. They didn't know what the fuck was going on. They weren't dealing with reality. But then what you had, and it's funny because you had for years people that have been like in the military, been in the Navy, been in various positions, and they're saying like, yo, we engage with X, Y, Z, or like people that have been into space and whatnot as well, saying, oh, we engage with X, Y, Z, and then there'll be footage as well that you can witness, footage you can see. But obviously people are not looking to engage with it at all. But now you had what? Well, I'll read it because I think they explain it. So it says what Pentagon forms a group to examine UAS, well, UAPs is what they'll use, unexplained aerial phenomenon, which the brother always goes into, man, because as far as a phenomenon, it's like that's not something you can engage with on that carnal level that Esau deals with these things. So that says what the Pentagon on Tuesday night announced a new group to investigate reports of UAP in sensitive work areas. Work that will be overseen by military and the intelligence agencies. Why? Because that's, you got Chariots going in and dealing with entering and maneuvering within these places. Where Esau's realizing, at any point, bang, the law can just have his servants in there doing what they need to do. And I remember you had stories like there was a documentary, I can't remember, I watched this on TV. Maybe it was on YouTube. It was probably on YouTube back in the day, but I could not even dream of remembering the name of it. But there was like guys that were in the military talking about how they'd had UFO sightings, and then like missile silos had been powering up, engaging, like they switched on, and then later on switched off. Like around when obviously the Chariots were around, they're like, yo, these guys have got the capability to engage with that. These guys are being looked at as loons, but now that's your same government is making those same loony ass statements like we don't know what the fuck this shit is. These guys are maneuvering and able to do things we can't even deal with. So it says what the group will lead an effort to detect, identify, and attribute objects in restricted airspace, as well as mitigate any threats to military flights. So they're basically trying to deal with the Chariots, man. It says what the announcement follows the release of a report in June that failed to provide explanations of 143 sightings of strange phenomena by military pilots and others over the past 2 decades. Yes, by the military. This ain't just some fucking drugged out, drunk off his face, splattered hick from fuck knows where in down south. These are so-called military experts, man. These guys have been trained, meant to be masters of flight, able to navigate these complex machines, trained in all sorts of ways. These guys don't have no fucking clue, and these guys engage with people, they have no fucking clue how these things are maneuvering. It says the report frustrated some inside the intelligence community who believe more analysis and research should have been done to try and to categorize and explain the phenomena. Releasing a report that said the findings were unexplained further drove theories that the pictures or videos of pictures could be visitors from space, a theory that few in the US government take seriously. Kathleen H. Hicks, the Deputy Defense Secretary, said the new group would be called the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization. What the fuck is that title, man? AOIMSG. Whatever, man. It will be overseen by an executive council made up of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, the Director of the Joint Staff, and the senior officials from the Office of the Direction of National Intelligence. So, dealing with the Chariots is now a big deal. That's something that they're putting the force into, because why? They say it's been made. They made it public, and that's the thing. It's really warming people up to prepare them for that Independence Day narrative, that alien invasion narrative, where when Yahushua makes his return, everyone's gonna be looking like, yo, that's an enemy. Yo, we're gonna have to go on conflict. Yo, he's coming to end everything in Esau's rule. And then, Wagwan, what we're gonna be able to do? It's gonna be fucked. It says what the group will focus on special use airspace, which includes military operations areas, firing ranges, and places restricted for national security and other uses. In a memo, Dr. Hicks said, the UAP in special use areas represents a potential safety issue for military pilots and raised potential national security concerns. It says what in June, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released a report that reviewed unidentified aerial phenomena seen since 2004, knowing that 143 remained unexplained. Of those, 21 reports involving 18 episodes, possibly demonstrated technological know-how unknown to the US, such as objects moving without observable propulsion or with rapid acceleration that is believed to be beyond the capabilities of Russia, China, or other terrestrial nations. Yeah, they're dealing with basically the Chariots, and the way they move, the way they deal is completely outside of how Esau's whole aerodynamics and his engineering, how he builds it, his vehicles up, how they work. And because I read this, Ezekiel 1:15, it says, now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his four faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the colour of beryl, and the four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Yeah, so let's talk about the chariots, because you've got the angels within them, and then you have what the chariots themselves. That's like, that disc where it's like saying a wheel within a wheel, the color like the beryl as well, because they come in a variety of hues. They have ways of lighting themselves up, and making themselves known. So it says, when they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. Yeah, so the way they're moving, they can move in different directions, and it's like what, wherever they're moving, they ain't got to turn, man. The way they're maneuvering, it's like, brothers have seen chariots. There was a time where brothers saw just like hella chariots back to back. It's like people in the street were stopping and gawking, because it was just like, yo, the Lord had it where everyone was able to spot these, man. It was a spirit, because it was beautiful seeing hella chariots. Like, even got a few of them on the camera as well. It was actually mad. And then like, yo, but hey, that's how the Lord's had it go, where it's basically been, and now it's something where, because the Pentagon putting that report out really is just wild and out there, because then it's just like, yo, this is a real thing, and this is just like saying like, hey, for the people, you guys should expect this. You guys should be expecting this in time, because that's the same thing with Esau. He's expecting Yahushua's return. And it says what? So they moved and it says, as for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and the rings were full of eyes round about them four. Yeah, them eyes, them lights, man. It says, and when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. So, they'll get maneuvered around. The angels are getting maneuvered around by the chariots, man. It's like any which way they can move. They can be moving upwards, north, go up, flip back round, come down, to the left, spin, move, upside down, whatever. And it's gonna, like, I'm remembering like the ones I've seen. It's just like, yo, the way they're moving is that's above and beyond anything Esau's doing, man. Above and beyond, and that's why it's called a phenomenon. And that's why Esau's filled with fear. He's basically looking for means and ways to try and challenge and deal with him, man. And that's in prophecy. It says, well, when they went, the wheels were by them, and when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and thither was So wherever they desire, they'll just maneuver in any which way. It's not like when you're driving a car and you're going straight, you got to turn, and then it will slowly turn around. It will just be like, okay, you'll be driving straight, and then you could go reverse to the left. You could be turning right and just be like instantly, just be like, okay, I'm gonna reverse, go to the left, ascend up, come down, because that's how they move. The wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was on the wheels. What was I gonna get? So, Revelation 20. 19. Let's see. Because I forgot stand. 12. Okay. So yeah, this is what Esau's doing, is saying this is why they've developed. All of a sudden, Trump just started the what's it called, the Space Force, man, where it's weaponizing space, preparing for defense from space. And now you got the Pentagon putting out the report on UAPs, unmanned aerial or unidentified aerial phenomena. And then now they're doing the research to try and get to the bottom of the mystery and what's happening now with this is what Esau preparing for, man. This time, Revelation 12:7 says, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought with his angels. Yeah, so Esau's whole power structure, EU, NATO, all those the bedrock of how Esau rules on the earth now. These guys are all gonna do what? They're gonna fight against Yahweh Shai, man. Fight against Michael, fight against all the angels, all the forces of Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. When he basically, Yahweh Shai returns with the fathership, with all the chariots to come back and take over the earth by a hostile takeover. And it says what? And prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And that's same as it says, and the great dragon was cast out, the old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole earth. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Yeah, so all Esau's military forces, all these ships, all these fighter jets, whatever means by which he's gonna do combat, it's all gonna come to naught. That's the same as that links up with what's it called? Obviously 2nd Ezra 13, which I'm gonna read, but Isaiah 14, so Satan falling as lightning from heaven. They ain't talking about the spiritual demon Satan, because that's how the Christians will say like, Satan was in he was in heaven, he was an angel, and then he just he saw himself in the mirror and he was just so beautiful or whatever, or some BS, to where he just then was like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna fuck off and rebel now and just be trying to make men fuck up. Nah, Satan's in order doing what he needs to do, man. That Satan that's falling from like lightning from heaven is Esau, man. Esau, his whole power structure, all his capabilities, everything's gonna come to an end, man. He's gonna be brought to naught. 2nd Ezra 13:2, it says, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that removed all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. Yeah, he waxed strong in the thousands of heaven. That's how Yahushua is going to come back. Says what Acts chapter 1 about just as you see Yahushua going when he got beamed up into the cloud, which is the chariots, which is so-called UAPs, as Esau's referring to them now. They want that's how he's going to return, but it's not going to be in a form where he can just be bound up and put on a cross again. It's going to be what? Coming back with power, coming back with force to take over the earth with the chariots. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, they all burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth for fire. Yeah, them beams, man. Like when you see in War of the Worlds, where it just got zip zapped and vaporized. When it feeleth for fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven, to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Yeah, these the whole earth is gonna come together in that spirit of Independence Day, man. We just had everyone around the world all come together and start fucking up the chariots as it happened in the movie. They ain't gonna go down. These guys are gonna do combat and lose. There ain't gonna be no Jeff Goldblum just and Will Smith flying in and then just and just get fucking up the the ships, the chariots. That's these are the fantasies that Esau's built for him to then be able to try and visualize see his own victory, man, within this circumstance, because he knows the prophecies. He knows he's done seen brothers of prophets out there prophesying his downfall, his doom, his destruction. He's basically trying to find some means, man, in any angle by which he can get out. It said, I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. But I would have seen the regional place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. Yeah, his chariot was so immense, so legendary. It was looking like a mountain. He was trying to see, like, yo, where's even the other end of it? Couldn't even see. That's the level of capability that's coming, man. And it says, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. These guys are gonna be shook. Guys are gonna be feeling abject terror, but they're still gonna fight. It says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude, they came. The violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only a sword that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Yeah, that's how the war's gonna go, man. It's all the military might, the lauded military might, that glory, those great iron teeth, man, that rebirth of those great iron teeth coming back, can amount to is basically being decimated when it comes to the time for the Son of the Most High to return and come and take over this place, man. And that's why this is why you're hearing about the chariots so much, man. You're hearing about so-called UAPs, as Esau's calling them, and why all of a sudden, weaponizing space, all of a sudden, okay, these things are a threat, national security threat. It's preparing people's minds, which really Hollywood's done a spectacular job of making people, that whole alien invasion narrative is in people's minds, man. Every few years they just have those films where it's like, a hostile force just comes from space, in chariots, and then just comes to decimate the earth. But yeah, um, yeah, Esau's gonna catch a big L, man. Shalom, shalom.